Hi, my name is Jacqueline Purcell. I'm originally from East Haven, Connecticut, and I now live in I've been living in Brantford for about 30 years, so I guess. Well, I didn't have my first drink till I was 22, so getting into trouble for me wasn't something that happened. So I was a perfectionist from early on. I was the geek in school who was in the band club. I was always in the band room playing my flute, in the chess club. I was in the Latin club, and never gave my parents any trouble. My first bit of trouble was in 2008, and I was an adult at 41 years old with three kids in school. I committed mortgage fraud. I think it's called bank fraud or wire fraud on my case. But what I did was I took a mortgage. I owned a very large company, a title company at the time, and I had a partner who was an attorney, and my entire family worked for me. It was the start of the mortgage implode, and we couldn't make payroll. So I took a mortgage out on our house, which was not in my name. It was only in my husband's name, and signed his name on the mortgage. And I misappropriated the funds and paid payroll and funded my business for the next couple of years until, thankfully, and I say that, thankfully, I got a knock on the door from the FBI. Ah, my kids are unique because they never faltered, and my husband by my side. Um, and that's, I shouldn't say it's very emotional for me because they should have. I remember sitting them down and having to tell them that their mom had exposure and I committed a crime. And as a mom, I'm also a person, and people make mistakes. Good people do make mistakes. I think mine was more of less of a mistake than a really bad choice because I believe in free will and free choice, and I made this horrible choice. We could have done so many other things. And having to tell them as a mother, I think is very different than a dad. And I remember my youngest daughter saying, "But mom, you're our mom." And I guess looking at your kids, knowing you let them down, that's the hardest thing. Today, when I came home, I recognized when I was in Danbury, I went to Danbury Federal Prison Camp. There's a lot of women in there who didn't have the support I had. And there was a lot of talk about when I get home, I'm going to do this. And I was there with celebrities, and they had the financial resources to come home and make a big impact and help. And when I came home in 2015, I recognized no one was. So I founded Evolution Reentry Services, which is an organization that works solely with women who've committed a nonviolent crime. And we have two support groups. We have a support group just for the women who are going into prison, recently home and reentry. And we also have our family support group. But we also help women reframe their life on a resume, how to be transparent. I believe in transparency. I tell women they have two choices when they come home. And everyone has to live their life the way they want. Either you're transparent or you're not. For me, I think transparency is not ever having to look behind my back again. That's freedom. For me, I could not choose to live again worrying that somebody was going to find something out. And I often reflect back at the women that I work with, and I do see many more barriers when you do not disclose and transparent versus if you are. This is who I am. I mean, I say my story, I frame it, I tell my truth, and nobody could really say anything. But when you don't, you're allowing other people to have control over your freedom, and that's not freedom. I've learned that the hard way.